The very heart of evil is in San Francisco. The Church of Satan was in San Francisco. The Bible of Satan was written in San Francisco by LeBay, a man called LeBay. He was the head of the Church of Satan. That's San Francisco. The second headquarters of Satan is Seattle. Yeah, Seattle. So I'm telling you, Satan exists. Yeah, it's something you might want to consider and worry about. Yeah, because when you leave here, you either go back and reincarnate, yeah, or you go to hell, or you spend some time in heaven, and you're blessed and initiated in a higher mind and a higher consciousness and cleansed beyond your wildest belief. You come back with great saintly attitude, higher, enormous ambition and understanding, and a calling that moves a person if they spend a great deal of time in heaven between life and death. Yeah, that's a wonderful thing. Yeah, we should all work toward that. Yeah, but it requires a great deal of not being in the satanic reality of lifestyle, and letting go of all that, and living in a state of moderation, and learning many, many, many lessons during life that allows you your seat in heaven when you leave this place. You know, so that is something that is our potential, but we don't go there and stay. You know, we are blessed. We get blessed. We're educated in a way. Yeah, we're given insight and understanding of what would be a better way for humanity to exist. And it's a way for heaven to impress upon humanity and change and reincarnate and then become these wonderful people that make differences in the world. Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it goes on. But then there is another thing, and that's hell. And people go to hell. And they exist in hell. They don't come out of hell. They exist in hell. Yeah. So their time is spent in hell. Yeah. And it's, for me to say these things, it's like, how, what am I going to use the Bible in order to verify hell, and scare you with it? It's not until we have a time to where we have people that have gone to hell and come back. And they have visions. And while they're having those visions, they're all around the world. And they're not talking to each other, but the visions are the same, and the same people they're witnessing in hell. Yeah. So it kind of helps us out to know that we're 1 foot in hell, and we're 1 foot on earth, and we're 1 foot in heaven. And that in heaven earth thing kind of goes as a blessing. We don't stay in heaven, but we can bring heaven to earth. Yeah, which is the purpose of getting into heaven and coming back and serving. Every person who has died and gone to heaven, every time they come back and cleanse themselves of all their negativity. They come back almost as a priest or a nun in service to humanity, knowing Jesus Christ, knowing God exists, knowing all these things. It just becomes part of their nature. They're completely reborn when they come back from death. Yeah, and they have that experience. It's very, very common. So to relate to this reality that hell does exist, and all the work that I do, I explain that, I'm against Michael Jackson. I am against people who are doing this, and what happens to them after they die. Where I come from, they go to hell. Yeah, and it includes the Pope. Yeah, and if you don't clear your shit up before you die, you're going to go to hell. And that includes the Dalai Lama. That includes everybody. And for that reason, the Dalai Lama has started to clean his shit up before he died. Yeah, he made it possible for Dorji Chungden to be okay. He stopped putting demonic impressions and curses on the very existence of Tibetan Buddhism when he was just himself cursed, and seeing it from that impression of his own demons. Yeah, and once that was healed, he didn't see it that way anymore, and he saw the very things he thought was threatening to be not threatening whatsoever. Yeah, and he was the threat. Yeah, so it's always that way. Yeah, and it's the same way with the Pope, because he covers up homosexuality and the relationship of homosexuality since the beginning of time. And if you go back in other periods of generations, you show that, oh, they're not covering up homosexuality. They're covering up having a relationship with Hitler and hiding the SS and hiding Hitler's main generals and everybody after the time of the fall of Hitler. So whatever evil exists, that group is involved in it. Yeah, and have been historically involved in it. We can see many historical experiences that humanity has had, through the Crusades and many different things through that Pope and the effect that it's had on civilization and humanity. So there's extreme hell to pay, to those people. They do not. You can name Pope saint. But he's not a saint when he's sitting in hell and flames are all over him. Yeah. And there's no way he's getting out. Yeah. No way. There's a long period of time until there is a moment of absolute understanding of where one has gone wrong. And you got to have that whole freaking thing pass through your being and experience that. Yeah. Everything is personal. And God sees it that way, and hell is made to manifest, whether it be in a way in which you're drunk or an addict and you go to hell and you're in a bar forever and you cannot drink that drink, or you cannot shoot that heroin up, but yet you've got it sitting right in front of you. And everything that exists in order for it to happen, all your happening experiences are there for you. Everything but your fulfillment. Yeah. You don't have it. Yeah, all you have is the desire and the craving and the enormous amount of energy that comes with that. And that's purgatory. And people do go through that. It's just a different level of hell. If you're really bad, like Michael Jackson and Saddam Hussein and many others that we know of, trust me, they're in hell. And over time, there's going to be people who go to hell and come back, and they're going to witness these people in hell, and they're going to tell you about it. They're going to document. I've been to hell, and guess what? I saw Michael Jackson. Guess what? I saw Saddam Hussein. Yeah? And not just one, but 2 or 3 or 4, and it'll keep going. Not because they're, fanatic people listening to other people who have gone to hell, and now they're all saying the same thing. Most of this is not shared. Most of this is not about anybody knowing what they have experienced. Most of it is an experience completely of their own. Yeah? So they have nothing to go on other than their own personal experience. And as they're saying these things, we find validity by many people having the exact same experience. Yeah? And if you studied this work, the understanding of past life regression, or the understanding of people who have died and come back, and what they have said about that experience, whether going to heaven or going to hell, it happens. Yeah, people have witnessed both, and when they come back, it is a very important thing to listen what they have to say. Yeah, because it's our own doorway, for us to have a better understanding that these things do exist. God does exist. That's number one. But if God exists, so does a place that happens when you go against God and you cause harm to every living human being, and you do nothing to save or help any person out of the cause of harm. Yeah, you're actually complicit in the process, which we're looking at now. In everything that goes on in this world today, we're seeing people who are being busted, who are finding that they're perverts or they're pedophiles, and there are people in their lives who are complicit to that, just like our President Trump and his daughter and his son-in-law, and all those people are complicit. His lawyer is complicit. Everything is complicit. Yeah. So as time goes on, everybody gets judged. I just want people to come to a redemption before they die. So I point out through revelation, you're about ready to be judged. You're in the middle of being judged. Yeah? Don't die before you come to this redemption. I hope the best for you not to have that happen. Yeah? And that, the process of Trump is he's going to be one of the first presidents that goes to prison. He's going to be one of the first presidents that sits for long periods of time on trial. Where Nixon, who he says is it's his president of presidents because he's so much like Nixon. And Nixon was able to walk, after having done all that, because he was pardoned. But the guy who's coming in to become president will not pardon him. And all the FBI will not stand up for him. And all the people of the military or the people of the government in a political way that has to do with law, they won't stand up for him because he's busted every person, fired every person, mistreated every person, and asked people to follow bad direction. Generals are saying, I want nothing to do with this guy, and come to find out he's closest to Epstein. Yeah? The one person we're going to find out about at the very same time president gets kicked out of office, is militarily marched out of office, yeah, and into a court system where he's going to spend the rest of his life. Yeah? And we don't have Epstein, but we have Donald Trump, who is complicit in all the actions of Epstein. Yeah? One of his closest friends for many years. He backed off only because he was ready to go to prison back in 2005. So he can say, I haven't had anything to do with him for 15 years. Well, he has always, yeah? So the process is that we don't know any of these things, but all these things are being uncovered. And one of the main things that is to be uncovered is that heaven exists, a change in the world does exist, you do reincarnate, and you can go to hell, yeah? And that you do not get the benefit of reincarnation when you go to hell. Yeah? You don't have another body going out there living a life while you're in hell. You're in hell. Yeah? So we on earth are not subjected to these people. Right now, the Hitler that we knew is in hell. Yeah? The person that we know, Saddam Hussein, and all of them are in hell. Yeah? And they're being treated in the way in which they're meant to be treated in hell. And a length of time in hell could last for tens of thousands of years. Yeah, because time has no existence in whether a heavenly state or in a hell state. Yeah, so it's a very bad Twilight Zone perspective to consider that this is our life, this is what goes on. Yeah, and that when we die, we have we could pay in worse ways than we ever imagined. Yeah, but hell is set up for people who are extremely evil. Yeah, it's not set up for the average guy, the average lady who's gone through suffering and makes bad decisions and a bad lifestyle and is a drug addict. Those people, if they steal and they harm other people and do other things that collectively becomes so bad, judgment does come. And that is a pay time that it happens in hell or purgatory. Yeah. And then they come back into earth. But the only time that reincarnation takes place is when God comes and picks them up like a hand and picks them up. Yeah. So while you're in hell and you're going through this purgatory and you're going through hell, those places wouldn't exist if God didn't exist. So that's going to be your experience. And that what gets you out of there is your revelation that God exists, coexists with the very thing that you're existing in. Yeah? Because you're not in dark space. You're not in nothingness. You're not in empty state. Yeah? You're not under the ground and having no life existence whatsoever. Truth is that life goes on forever. And we go from one body to the next through the transmigration of the soul. And if we don't behave according to the law of the soul, the law of God, and the blessing of the Holy Spirit, there is hell to pay. Yeah? And it could be on earth as a person who is completely incapable, of carrying out anything in their life because they've screwed up all their emotional body and all their mental body and all their physical body in previous lives. Yeah. So they come back after having been a drug addict and turned into another gender and then reincarnate. You know, the amount of hell in their life that they'll live through, working out all of those processes that inhibits their nature to be the person that they're really meant to be. They got to work their way back to that original nature. Yeah. Everybody does.